my God, Erica, I'm so excited that you're on Spark TV. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So good. So obviously I know you through the Spark program. So I'm so fortunate to have learned a little bit about your business. But I would love you to tell everybody what Hummingbird Careers actually is, but also how you got here. So what's your backstory? How did you decide to start a business?
Okay, so first of all, Hummingbird Careers is very much a values driven, purpose-led business.
Awesome.
And it's all about empowering parents to continue growing their careers through that transition to parenthood and beyond. So very much about growing careers alongside families, as we like to say. So we provide specialist career coaching services, one-on-one, group and through corporates. And we've also partnered recently with a specialist perinatal mental health counselling provisional service as well. So we're providing very comprehensive support services to parents returning to work. So that's what we do. How did I get there? Well, you would think I'd start by saying, look, I was following my passion, but in my case, it's more following my frustrations. So it's through my own sort of personal sort of experiences of dealing with getting pregnant, going off on parental leave, finding out I no longer had a job to come back to partway through.
Oh my God.
I know, but you find out that that's pretty common. So it's like 1 in 5 if you look up the stats from Strange Institutions. So yeah, it's pretty common. And yeah, like deciding, well, what am I going to do next? Looking for a new role. I thought I'd just look for a very, similar role and go back. And I wanted part-time, because who doesn't want part-time when you're trying to juggle like everything with kids and work and whatnot. So I thought, that I'll just, like every other time, I'll just go out and get a job. And then I realized that because my career had kind of gone up and up and I got to director level, that they kind of want people full-time. This was before the pandemic. There wasn't a lot of flexibility. And so I had to move industries, and I had to downshift my role as well. Wow. So I ended up in a not-for-profit. I got my 3 days a week, but I was their newly minted HR manager, the very first one they'd ever had. So that's kind of what happened there. I took a massive nosedive in terms of, earnings. Both now and into the future. So, super's obviously impacted as well. So anyway, so that was my interesting journey of trying to come back and trying to find and negotiate flexibility in the workplace, and realizing that there's a whole bunch of systemic issues, because I looked around at my mother's group and realized it wasn't just me, and lots of people were experiencing barriers to returning to work, and having kids. So I thought, you know what? That's not great.
No, not at all.
And it's mostly mums who, do the primary parental leave. So, I think the stats 95% of primary parental leave is mums. So when you consider that, the average time out of the workforce is like 8 months. There's a massive impact, particularly if you're in like fast moving industries and things like that as well. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to do something about it. Like, it's really, it's not right. It's not fair. And I've got a skill set that I can use to help others, so that their journey isn't, as bumpy, and that they can be prepared and aware of the issues and to help to mitigate some of the negative impacts, and be able to push ahead and see it as just, I took some time off and now I'm coming back into my career and I'll continue. So, yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine going away to have a baby, this huge monumental experience in your life, and then being told, oh, sorry, it's all over for you now. So not only might you not have a job, but you're not going to have the same level of title. You're not going to have the same level of role. You're not going to have the same money. Lucky if you come back. That is so shit.
It is. Wow. It is. So, hence my frustrations actually created, an organization to
I love that.
So I was like, this is so wrong. Somebody needs to be doing something. And I'm like, maybe I'm that somebody.
Wow. I love that you're that somebody. That's so good.
Yeah. So that's, and I did the whole side hustle thing, whilst you're, because, we mothers don't have enough to do.
Exactly. You don't
We're
need
notoriously free. free of, you know, commitments. So I thought I'd just add that into the mix. I'll just work part-time, have my child. Also, I'll have this, you know, I'll be doing this stuff on the side. But, you know, considering I wrote half of the programs when I was still breastfeeding, when I probably should have been sleeping because my daughter was the worst sleeper ever.
Oh my God.
Still causing problems with that. She's 4. Probably could have better spent my time. But yeah, I was really motivated, let's just say.
But I love that. I love how you've gone and taken a problem and gone, well, I know how to fix this. I can actually help people that are going through the exact same thing that I did or am.
Yeah.
So can people access this? Can people come to you directly that might be like in the thick of this problem? Or, you know, is this something that their organization has to put on? Like, how does that work?
Look, we provide services directly to people and also through corporate programs. Cool. And I think the interesting thing there is there's quite a different mix of why people want support and why they're coming. So through the corporate programs is very much a very structured program that's very focused on returning to the role that you left at the start of your parental leave. So returning to the same workplace and the same role. And helping that transition sort of pre-parental leave to get you all ready to go and geared up so that you make the most of your time that you're off, you know, all that free time that you have when you're on leave.
Exactly. That holiday that you're on.
Exactly. It's so ironic because you come back to work and you go, no, this is the holiday.
This is the holiday, yes.
Children is the hard bit. So perspective shift. But yeah, basically helping all those transition points. So, you know, getting ready to go off on leave, putting yourself in a really good strategic position. Then whilst you are on leave, getting everything ready to return to work, creating that return to work plan, thinking about, you know, flexible working arrangements, childcare, all of those different things that have to come together in harmony so that you can actually smoothly and positively have that return to work experience. And then supporting people for that durable, sort of sustainable, you know, ongoing sort of future focus goals in regards to careers once you are back at work. So it's not like you go off and then you come back and you're left. You're also, once that transition is complete, back into the workplace, and then you start to look at not just the nuts and bolts of returning, but also looking longer term and what do you want now? Because everything shifts, everything changes. So that's the corporate program, but the more, the retail sort of program, if you want to call it, you know, direct to just individuals. I find a lot of people will have more of, you know, a bigger life question, you know, like everything's shifted, everything's changed. I had this baby, my life imploded. What do I do now? What can I do now? There's so many constraints that didn't used to be there. And, you know, all these different things that are coming up. And, you know, it's just being able to talk through with someone who I guess has expertise in that area and also doesn't want anything from you or expect anything of you. So oftentimes I find clients will say, you know, it's so great just to be able to have this conversation, you know, in this safe, confidential environment with somebody who doesn't have a stake, because they're like, my partner wants me to, you know, earn a certain amount. My mother, brother, sister, friends, they all see me in a certain way. And if I have that conversation with them or, you know, my colleagues, like I know what they're going to tell me. And that's not what I want. I want to be able to have a sounding board. I want to be able to, you know, talk through my ideas. And oftentimes that, you know, they've made really great inroads into the thought process, and they kind of just need somebody to talk it out with. And other times I've got no idea whatsoever. We work through the whole process of looking at values and strengths and, you know, skill sets and experience and things like that. So, you know, it's a lot of fun actually being able to go through that creative process with people too.
Oh my God, I love that so much. I wish when I had a corporate career, I mean, I haven't had kids, and I just wish somebody would have taken me through that process.
I think people need to be aware of it, like before and lead up too. So I think the more awareness we can get out there of the impact, you know, child rearing, I don't know, as parenthood has on your career, I think, you know, it's really important so that you're prepared and that you can, you know, you can make sure that you put yourself in a really good position, because let's face it, kids are expensive. So at no other time in your life do you really need that money. And that's the one time that you kind of take that time out. So, you know, I think it's really important to be aware of these things. And, that. And I wish the other thing somebody would have told me when I was pregnant is that there is sleep training. It is such a thing.
Yeah.
I wish I would have known that from day dot. Instead, I didn't know until 6 months down the track, and that had a big negative impact. So can I just say to everybody, have a look at all of your options. Don't just look at the birth. Think about once baby's here.
Oh my God. I love that. And I love how you
in the marriage, right? So, everyone focuses on the party and not actually what happens after.
Oh my God, I'm getting triggered here. I'm planning my wedding and I'm just thinking about how gorgeous it will be. Oh dear. But I love how you said, you actually sit people down and talk through their values because, and I love how you said that, things shift dramatically once you've had, either your first child or your second or your third or however many might be, the value, all of them, the values you might have had inside your job may be totally different. And if things change, literally overnight, actually navigating that space is, I can imagine, only super difficult.
Yeah. And I think, look, your values may stay pretty stable over time, or they might change depending on dramatic, things that shift. But your priorities and the way you express that will, that will definitely shift. I'm yet to meet someone where it hasn't, or maybe they're just not my clientele that are looking for me. But I mean, generally, having a child, particularly your first child, there's going to be a big shift in what you typically would do, like on a Saturday night. You know what I mean? Like, the ins and outs of your day-to-day life change dramatically. And I think, people who have a lot of support from others, in their family or networks, friends and other groups and things like that, are definitely streets ahead. And not everyone has that support system. Not everyone has someone who's experienced in it. You might be the first of your friends to have a child. And everyone's experiences are different too. So, hearing just from one individual around their lived experience is one, and it may not be the right path for you either. And so being able to talk to someone who's kind of removed from, having just that personal experience and can talk to you more broadly about things, I think is really helpful to look at things, at that level. So, yeah.
Yeah. I love that so much. So I totally have my head around how important it is for new mum. So talk to me about corporates. So the actual organization who might be providing this as a service to people. Why is it so important for them as an organization?
Well, retention in a word. And, particularly in the current climate where there's a war on talent, the amount of job vacancies that are out there and the amount of people who are applying for them. So if you're looking for work at the moment, now is a really good time to, throw out your CV. You've got the odds are with you. It's not an employer's market at the moment. It's really hard to fill vacancies, and it's really hard to find skilled talent. To varying degrees of difficulty, depending on the nature of the industry and the particular role you're looking to fill. But so basically, you want to retain skilled, experienced talent who know and understand the business, who have a track record there. It makes sense to tap into that. It makes sense to retain the parents as much as you can. Coming back in. And there are a lot of barriers, going off on parental leave and coming back. You've had all this time off. I find that a lot of the people I work with have lost a bit of confidence in, their skill set because, it's been a while. And how much do I remember? How much has the workplace moved on? Maybe I haven't heard from my employer at all during that time. And I'm like, do they know I'm still alive? I've heard my manager's left. I don't even know who my new manager is. Like, it's turnover within teams, and they go back and, there's no one that they know. So from an employer perspective, it's really absolutely critical to leave no stone unturned when you're trying to retain, valuable staff. And all the parents that I've worked with have got, such amazing skills and talent and career histories. They're not, typically they're not, new to the workforce. They're kind of mid-career. So they've got a lot to give, and I think the important thing is also supporting parents as they transition back so that they can give as much as they can in terms of, not just hours, but also in terms of skill sets. So, I downshifted my career, so they got a bargain. And I went into that role because I could do so much more than, what they were, looking for in the market. So I think it's important, because parents want to be able to, they're still ambitious. They still want to be able to, perform, tasks and duties that are at the level of their skill sets. So, the last thing you want to do is sort of shift them into a corner and they'll start looking for another job elsewhere, because right now it's the best time to be looking to go somewhere else. You'll be snapped up very quickly.
And I can imagine the cost of, hiring and training new staff is way more than actually just supporting existing staff to come back into the workplace.
Yeah, exactly. The productivity loss is just, it's
relationships.
Incredible. Yeah.
Finding people time. Oh my God.
Oh gosh, the amount of time. And you always hear the hiring managers complaining about, the lead time or the lag time to get a new person on board, and that everybody else is under the pump and they were already under the pump, and, all of that business. Like it's the whole process of recruiting, training, onboarding, all of that, and all the costs that are involved, both directly if you're using like an agency or whatever, or indirectly in people's time. Like it's just incredible, and the lost productivity until you get that speed to competence on the other side. So it's definitely in everyone's best interest to try and retain parents when they're coming back to work, and the amount of investment to be able to do that is minimal compared to the amount of cost if you were to lose them through turnover. So I think it's definitely, and also it plays into the whole, diversity and inclusion piece as well, and showing how valued, that your employees are, and being able to say, hey, you know what, you want to come and work for us because we value everybody, and we've got, a workforce that's representative of the community, and you can see yourself reflected here because we're willing to, to support everyone and invest in people who may not fit, the full-time working all hours mold, that kind of thing, or whatever other reasons that, you might be outside of the norm. We're willing to create an environment that's supportive and empowering to everyone, and I think that's a really important message as well.
Yeah, I love that so much. So as the parent who's going through this, how's it facilitated? Is it a course? Is it one-on-one coaching? Like, how do you go through the process with somebody?
It's one-on-one coaching, so it's a semi-structured program. So basically, there's particular discussion points or topics for each of the different sessions will already be set out, with the flexibility of being able to shift that depending on individual needs. So it's always individually tailored. It's not a cookie cutter approach. Awesome. And also the timings, the timings have guidelines to them. So, pre-parental leave, when you're off and starting to plan for coming back, and then once you're actually back in the workplace. But that's also flexible as well, because everybody will have different, constraints on their time. And so not everybody can, 2 weeks before you go off on leave, let's catch up. Not everybody can do that, depending on, what they have to do for handover and everything else. And it's always a bit of a crazy time before you go off. But all of the time becomes crazy time when kids are involved. So that's the biggest thing that I've learned, being a parent, is there has to be flexibility, because you become part of this broader sort of, family unit now. So you've gone from being an individual and you can throw everything at it to, you're constrained by what's happening with your kids. Like I was talking to you before about my daughter's been sick, that the chaos that ensues from that. So, you have to have flexibility, and you have to have, I think, compassion and empathy for the circumstances that parents are trying to work and do their best within. That being said, I read some research recently, which I thought was spot on, and they said that the most productive members of the workforce are working mums.
Oh, I believe that. I believe that.
You have to be so efficient with your time. Like, you've got to do drop off and pick up, and between that time you have to get everything done. So you're like, because you don't want to, you don't have the option of going, well, I'll just stay back another hour. That's not an option. You only have these hours, so you have to, get through it. So yeah, anyways.
Oh my God. No, it's so true though, right? It's like, you know, and if an employer can capitalize on that, like, you know, you're getting productive people back in is always a good thing. So many employers rant about unproductive millennials. Get mums back in, you know?
You want something done, give it to a mum.
Exactly. That is
It'll get done.
Yeah. Oh, that is so good. So what's your journey been like? So obviously you went from high flying director to mum to back into the workplace and not quite happy with the, you know, the level you were at, and then stuff it, I'm starting my own business. What was the process for you, employee to business owner? How was that for you?
Oh my God.
It's like, how long do you have and where's the line?
It was interesting because it wasn't exactly what I expected to a certain degree. Like I think you have certain assumptions that you don't even realize you have about what it will be like to run your own show. And usually you're thinking about all the positives, like, you know, I get to choose what it is that I work on today, and I get to do all the stuff that I really love and enjoy, and it'll be amazing. And so let me dispel a few myths. Please. So when you're an employee and you get to be a specialist in your little area and just work on that and, you know, build your capability in that space and do all those lovely things that you love and hone your skill set, when you then flip out of that into a business and you're a, you know, one person show, you become a generalist across everything, and your skill sets are shallow across all of that because you've got limited time to be able to build it. And the unfortunate thing is if you're like me and you decide, you know, it'll be fine, I'll just, you know, quit my job and do this.
Just dive straight in the deep end.
Yeah, exactly. You know, sometimes it's good to be naive, you know, because you don't know if you'd ever take that leap of faith if you knew everything. Things always take longer than you expect to occur, right? So, you know, all those articles that you read about every man and his dog is this unicorn, you know, business. Within 4 to 6 weeks, they're making millions. They're like this, you know, with all the money. It's like, that's not an accurate reflection of the whole of the ecosystem. Let me put it that way. I
don't think it's an accurate reflection of freaking any percentage of the ecosystem. Seriously.
But I mean, that's kind of, you know, the seed that's planted. Like you will build it, they will come, it will be amazing. Like
you'll raise millions of dollars, you'll be a unicorn. Yeah.
And you totally believe in what you're doing. Like you're really passionate about it. Otherwise you wouldn't be such a risk taker. You're very optimistic, or you wouldn't be doing this, right? So you believe in what you're doing, you back yourself, and you're like, right, I've got something that's really amazing, that's really good. You've focused all your efforts on, you know, your service or product, and you put your baby out into the world, and you're like, they will come. And then all you hear is crickets, and you're like,
oh my God,
what happened?
Where are all the people? Where is all the money?
Exactly. And then you realize that it's not just about the service or the product. You actually have to do this little thing called sales and marketing.
Damn it.
Which I had no skill set in, you know, HR, psychology background. I just give things away, like, you know, support, advice. I don't know how to sell. So the whole sales and marketing thing was new to me. I was new to socials. I wasn't on any of that. So you can see that my speed to confidence started right at 0. And then slowly, you know, but you don't even have a chance to slowly build. Like you have to love learning, which is lucky that I do, because you're like, the way I put it to people is like, imagine, you know, those lovely little marketing grads. They've had 3-4 year degree. They come out. You need to be able to kick it with them. Yeah. And you've got about 3 to 4 weeks to learn that skill set. Like, I'm not kidding. You need to be able to have that speed to confidence. You need to be able to know when to let things go and just put them out there, and that you will, you know, lay track and you know, chug go along as you're still building that roadway. You know what I mean? So you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable like forever, because you're always pushing the envelope and you're always going that one step further. And you also have to be comfortable with being out there, which I didn't realize was a part of it, because I thought it's a business, it's not a person, it's a business. And it's like, no, you need to put yourself out there. It's your name, it's your face. You have to go out there and you know, talk to people and, you know, spruik your wares, so to speak, and say why it's such a great idea, why it would be so amazing, you know, and how it will help them. And I didn't quite realize that, so I had to get very comfortable, still uncomfortable, but more comfortable and less uncomfortable with being able to do that. So, you know, it's just, it's
It's a journey.
An easy ride. Let me put it that way. It's not an easy ride. And if you can continue to maintain some other kind of income stream, I would highly recommend it.
Oh my God. I agree with you so much. Both those things. So love to learn, because literally I've been in this 10 years and I still every day I'm like, I don't know how to do that. So you really need to be like, every day is going to be a mystery for the rest of your life. And I love that. Actually, do it as a side hustle. Don't take the leap. Like, you have some other income coming in. Not a bad idea. Anything to take the pressure off, because it is so hard. Like, being in business is really difficult. So if you've got anything in your life that can help to take the pressure off, like, that's golden.
And to learn those skill sets before you make the leap. So if you don't know anything about sales and marketing, learn it before you go. Spend time with the people at your current workplace who do that. Show an avid interest, because you're going to have to know that intimately. You're the one who's going to write the post. You're the one who's actually going to post it onto Instagram or whatever it is. You got to know how to do that. So, if you can build those skill sets before you take the leap, and build those skill sets alongside building your product or building your service, I think that's really helpful. And the one other thing I would say that's really, I think, super important is around just, you've got to have a really strong reason for being, like, in business, because it's going to be tough. It's going to be hard. Your trajectory is not going to go like this. It's going to be more like this. And on bad days, it'll go through the floor. And you need to be able to be resilient and bounce back from that. And not only bounce back, but go forward. So for me, because my enterprise is built upon, my personal experiences and how much I believe in, a fair and equal world and trying to level the playing field. And that's what stokes my fires and keeps me going. That is what's really held me together in thinking about who I'm helping. So you need to have a really strong vision, a really strong why you're in business, because on those really tough days, you're probably going to want to quit. It's going to be hard. So, I paint a good picture here of
but I love it though, because I feel like, it's just like what you do. You're building awareness for parents and saying, this is what you're going to need to know is going to happen out there. We're doing the same thing for potential business owners, right? We kind of go, okay, look, I know it looks fancy on the outside and on Instagram, but it's really bloody hard every day.
It is. And it's exhausting. And, you're going to have to give so much more time to it. And I know people say, look, if you have your own business, you think about it 24/7, whereas with a job, you can kind of switch off. I think there's some nuance there, because some people with their jobs don't switch off. But the difference is, like, if you're doing, something that you are truly passionate about, then you actually love thinking about it all the time. It's a very different feeling of what work is. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't feel like a drag. It feels like it's actually, lifting you up and energizing you, because it's something that you're interested in. And like, I'll see articles all the time and I go, oh, that's really interesting. And it's totally related to what I'm doing. So technically, that's work, but I love doing it. And I love finding out these, little bits and pieces, of research and what's happening in this space at the moment. So it's a very different thing.
And it's true, like a new concept. We always used to talk about work-life balance, and this idea that you could, come walk into the home office, do your thing, close the door and go back into the house and be like magically in family mode. But I think, the new thing that everyone's saying is work-life integration.
Yes.
I think that we can be a little bit more flexible, right? Like, we can go, yes, when I'm sitting in front of the TV, maybe I'm reading an interesting article, and you're right, it probably relates to the business, so you could consider it work. But if you love it and you're interested in the space, that continual learning and understanding is, going to support your business. I don't think you want to sit on the couch and go, oh, I better not read it because I'm supposed to be in family mode or whatever mode, in relaxed mode. I think we have to be a little bit more, like, take it easy on ourselves a little bit more and kind of go, there's going to be a blend.
Yeah. And I think that kind of leads nicely into the whole self-care piece. Because if you don't look after yourself and you're going a million miles an hour building this business, you're going to burn out. And you need to be able to have something that's specifically just for you. That's your own me time. That's something that's you love and that just energizes you. And keeps you going. Because I think there's a bit of a myth as well, particularly for women and particularly for mothers, working mothers, around this myth of having it all, which drives me insane, because it's not having it all, it's doing it all, which is a very different thing. And it's exhausting. It's really exhausting, and it can really, you know, be something that drags you down at times, particularly if, you know, everything always happens at once. It's either feast or famine, isn't it? So, you know, like something will drop off and you won't get that client, and the kids will be sick, and, you know, the husband, something will happen, he has to go away for work, or whatever it is. Like, it'll all happen at once, and it'll get really, really hard. And I think the interesting thing is, and that in order to help women to be able to have a fair opportunity at work, there also needs to be more sort of fairer division of labour at home, of the unpaid work, the unseen and undervalued work that happens statistically, you know, running a household and looking after kids. Because if we don't have help with that, then we're never going to be able to, you know, get to where we'd like to go and achieve what we want to achieve at work, because your head is just so full of the mental load of, like, organising. You know, before I came on here, I was like, okay, I've got to organise a podiatrist appointment, I've got to get in touch with the school, I've got to do, and all of that, just, it's a lot. I've got to go and pick up my daughter after this and take it. Like, there is so much stuff that you have to remember, that you have to do, and then you have to be able to do everything else around that. And so, you know, I always think of the superwoman and, you know, putting the cape on and all of that. And I think that's not a helpful sort of narrative. No. And that the reality is that it's going to be messy.
Yes.
And we're all down in it, you know. Don't think anyone is not. Don't look at Instagram and go, oh, yeah, that's real life.
But she does it all.
I know, the high heels, she looks immaculate, you know, the kids are all fed and watered, and everything's happening, and the husband's got his whiskey. Like, none of that's true.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, totally. And even, like, I always think about it from a practical perspective as well. Like, yes, you know, the mental load's crazy, but I'm like, if I wasn't going to Woolies buying food, I wasn't cooking dinner, I wasn't cleaning, I wasn't doing the laundry, I could be doing more in my business and growing it faster, you know? Like, it's time as well. Like, we have a finite amount of time that we can actually invest in things.
It's so true. And time takes on, like, a whole new meaning, like, once you've got kids in the mix, because you're like almost counting the minutes as to do this task or do that task or do whatever. You've only got so much time. Whereas I keep thinking back to my, you know, pre-baby days, going, how did I fritter away all my time? What was I doing with it? I could have achieved so much more.
Damn it.
I know.
Oh, that's so funny. So on the self-care topic, do you have any things that you do to look after you?
What's that saying? Do as I say, not as I do.
Not as I do, yeah.
Look, I try to be, you know, conscientious about getting more exercise. Gosh, that's always every year that's on my list, and every year I'm like, damn it, I didn't do it. Back on my list, 1st of January. What do you call it? New Year's resolutions. So
that's right. I love it. The clock ticks later and we are forgiven.
So I know, exactly. Let's just reset. It's the same thing.
It.
No, I've tried to be better, and I've tried to do it on the mornings where I'm not totally, like, you know, face on the floors, kind of like dying from sleep deprivation. So a few times a week I'll go for a short walk, because I've made the whole thing of, instead of going, I have to go for a 10-hour walk, it's more, if I get dressed and I've got my shoes on and I go for a walk around the block, I just get out of the house, it's a win.
Yes.
So there's
totally.
that.
I love that so much, because I think we get into that, well, you've got to be up at 5 a.m. and you've got to do this and you've got to journal and and I'm like, no, like, just do something and that's a win.
Exactly. So you know, so long as you're progressing, I think it's always a win.
That's so good.
The things that, you know, you need to do things that bring you joy. Like, for me, it's baking. I don't know why, but I love it.
Cool.
And so the only thing is that now I can't do all the elaborate things, although I've got my daughter's birthday coming up. She's like, I need a mermaid cake, Mummy. I'm like, okay, sure. I'll just do that.
I'll whip that up. Yep.
I've been YouTubing all of these videos on how to make mermaid cakes. So ask me anything, I can tell you now. But yeah, normally it's just, you know, like, you know, raspberry muffins or something really quick. But just having that time and that whole, like, ritual of just physically making something, and then, you know, obviously the reward of eating it afterwards.
I love it. Yes. Win-win.
You know, that's always good. And, you know, going for walks in nature, that's my other big thing. So just being able to get out off the roads, you know, as I look around at the back of Sydney where I live. So obviously you have to go for a little while to reach the trees. But, you know, once you get there, like it's so, I find it really calming just to be in nature and just to, you know, look at the water and, you know, hear the wind go through the trees and see some wildlife. You know, my daughter and I always look for the birds and that kind of thing as they come by. But it makes a really big difference, and it kind of helps you to kind of just decompress. And I don't know, you know, obviously I don't do it as often as I'd like. So I think the other message would be, it's not a matter of doing some big thing once in a while, because that's not going to help you. It needs to be something you do on a regular basis, daily if possible, but, you know, every other day, minimum weekly, I'd say, because you can't, if you keep holding on to that, like you'll kind of sink. It needs to be regular to have an impact, I think, because if you're waiting till, you know, Christmas time until you get your break,
tomorrow never comes. That's do it now.
Exactly. Something will happen and then you won't get it. So make sure you build it in to your routine as much as you can. And like I said, even if it's just something small, like walk around the block. Oftentimes I find once I'm out of the house, like I'll go for a walk and I'll go, I'll just go around the block, and then I'll be like, I'm feeling okay. I might go a bit further, you know, and instead of 5 minutes.
It's just got that momentum sometimes.
So I think it's good. And there's no pressure on you to kind of perform at a certain level, because it's just your me time and you know, relaxing, and it's just doing it for the joy of it.
I love it. I love it so much. Okay, last question for you to wrap up. So some of the people listening in actually haven't taken the leap yet into running their own business. They're still, you know, corporate living, or, you know, or maybe they're even new mums who are going, I don't want to go back to work. I want a new adventure. Any piece of advice you would give someone who might be struggling to take the leap into starting their own business?
Well, at the end of the day, I think it's a leap of faith. You know, it's like taking a new job is a leap of faith. You can do all your homework that you can imagine on a place, but you'll never really know what it's like to work there until you do it. And I think it's the same with the business, but there's a big but. Prefacing all the things that we said before, you know, make sure that you've got a lifeline, you know, income that you can live on, or still having some kind of income stream whilst you're doing this, because you don't know how long it's going to take. Like, you can't crystal ball it. You won't know. You know, and being able to, you know, build up your skill sets and be comfortable with being uncomfortable, all of those things. So go in with your eyes wide open, but go in prepared, hopefully more prepared than I was. So learn your sales and marketing now, people. That's a big tip. If you're not coming from that background, you really need to build that skill set. And also, don't feel like you need to know everything. You can outsource, you know, obviously that's predetermined by how much money you have, but there are certain things that you're better off outsourcing because your time can be better spent elsewhere. You know, and now I really understand why they say fail and fail fast, because time is money, people. And the longer that you're not earning, the harder it's going to be. And I've seen some of my friends who, you know, started businesses around the same time I did, that they've already had to go back looking for corporate roles.
Wow.
So so if you know, do it and do it fast.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Either that, or make sure you've still got that dual income that's happening kind of on the side, so that you've got some buffer, so that you don't have to move as quickly. But
Amazing. Well, you are absolutely incredible. Erica, thank you so much for being here on Spark TV. You're brilliant. Thank you for sharing your insights with our community.
Thanks for having me.